earlier at the Ghast Hill.
You have forgotten, haven't you? You wanted to build me a house. You promised.
Look, Gaslyn, come on, I'm sorry. I didn't forget to build your house. It's just, I was scared. You see, this is a very big building. I just can't imagine a house sprouting from this big dirt frame box. You know what? I'll make it happen. I'll build your house right now. Enough with all the evasions. So, please, could you maybe forgive me? I already said it. I find it quite hard to imagine a house sprouting from the dirt frame that I have here. But let's see what I can make out of it. This picture here will be a loose reference for my build, but since the terrain does not match, some rearrangement is necessary. Time for a little sketch. Window, wall, wall, walkway, entrance, stairway to entrance, arch, 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 winter garden, tower part, structure stuff. Now that may look super messy to you right now, but it will make sense when you see it in survival. Trust me. First of all, Gaslyn, yep, you need to move, because it is too dangerous while there is construction being done here. For now, I think you are better off being at the wood farm. See you soon. A personal golden rule of building: if you don't know how to start, then start with stone. The wall that I want to have would be around here, and now I will make an outline with stone, and if I like it then I can change the blocks afterwards anyways. Normally I would even fill in the frames with stone, but this time I think I have quite a good imagination how this might look, and I'm already very satisfied with that. So now let's replace the stone with the actual blocks that I want to have. And that is polished blackstone bricks. But not only them, but also deep slate bricks, andesite, cyan terracotta, grey concrete powder, grey concrete, and many other blocks that are to come. Yes, I want to get more into gradients, and this is, I guess, a nice project to start with. You may see a slight difference between this wall here and this wall, and that is that this side is a bit darker than that one. And that is because this section here will be roofed over by the arches that we now will build. And for the arches we have not only copper, but also some wood variants. I think that makes also a nice gradient that we can add here. But this again will only be applied if we are happy with the stone structure that we built beforehand. But to properly show that now, I think we have to wait for a bit, because there is still a lot of copper that needs to oxidize a bit more to make the gradient how I showed it before. I know this has nothing to do with building, but piston door? Yep, piston door. Since most of the time Gaslyn is sitting right here in the house, I thought it would be a given to not have her look at a wall, but instead at a window right at her line of sight. The first thing that comes to my mind when I look at this window is, well, that has become a mouth. And since it is a ghast housing after all, I think about embracing that thought and just leave a ghast face inside of the wall, and maybe it might look a little bit bad, but it is fitting the theme, so I am happy with that. And with the spruce logs instead of the crimson planks, it is quite a bit more subtle. As a rule of thumb, the more stone you see me use in the template, the more insecure I seem to be. Honestly, I currently am at a roadblock because I can't figure out how the roof will be. That's also why I started procrastinating, and then I built the pathway that leads up to the hill. And I have to say, it's quite a nice pathway, but now that I have it, I think about adding another thing for transportation, and that would be an enderpearl stasis chamber right at the top of the tower part of my build. To get the signal from down there to up here, I think about adding electricity pylons, which are housing Skyke sensors on top. I not only hope that that will look good, I also think that that might greatly reduce the chance of accidentally triggering the Skyke sensors with stuff that happens on the ground. First things first, I want to limit the frequencies that the Skyke sensor can react to by feeding the amethyst side of the Skyke sensor with the redstone signal of 10. I achieved the redstone signal of 10 by feeding this decorated pot with snowballs. So much snowballs that the redstone here shows a 10. This is a resource pack that I'm using. If you don't have a resource pack, you can still find out which redstone strength it is by using the F3 debug screen. There on the right side you can see the power level of the redstone, and feeding it with a redstone signal of 10, it now only reacts to opening containers, opening doors, block activation, fusing TNT, playing node blocks and hooking up tripwire. The calibrated Skulk sensor has a range of 16, but we will not do calculations to find out where the perfect spot for the pole would be. No, we are just guessing that this would be a good spot. Next, we place down a button and press it, and we can see that the sensor is activating. So this is in the vicinity that can be used. How about 2 blocks further away? Still working. What about this spot here? Nope, doesn't work. So now we know that we can take one of these 2 spots, and I think I'll take that one, so we now take the button and replace it with an amethyst block. Next to the amethyst block I now pillar up with the block of my choice. That would be spruce. And right up here I can now place the next calibrated Skulk sensor. That would be here. Not to mention that Skulk sensor also needs to be calibrated, also with a signal strength of 10. First electricity pole is now done. I know we still need the wire, but technically if we would add a button here now, the signal gets transmitted and eventually when we have our stasis chamber we get teleported. And now, finally, if we press that button here, you can see how the light goes through the electric poles. And then I get teleported. The thing is now a proof of concept, a temporary solution. This, however, is how it was meant to look like. The system now hooked up with a dropper, so whenever I teleport I get a new ender pearl. And that is connected to a shulker box unloader. I could have used a double chest that would hold 846 ender pearls. With this shulker box unloader, however, I can teleport 11,664 times just from this barrel here. And I would still have space in terms of the hopper and the dispenser if I would fill it completely up. I think easily up to 18,000 spaces would be present. So if we would take out now the remaining ender pearls, then yep, we will immediately get a new shulker box. Besides of that, some more small changes were added to the build. For example, I added a roof, I made new walls, I colored the existing walls. Yeah, I did some of the windows, some details are in already. Not all of them, I will have to add a bit more later on. And if you look at the back, there is still walls that need to be colored and detailed, and at least here on this side there is some things to do. But it's getting somewhere. If I would have to start over again, I probably would have chosen another gradient, because this 50 Shades of Grey approach, I'm not so sure about that anymore now that it's there, but I won't change it either. What I find is a nice detail is this white spots here at the eyes. I think that makes it a bit more distinguished to the ghast theme than to a creeper face, which would also be something that you can see in there. But like that, pretty pleased with that. Here on the right you can see the balcony area. I'm also pleased with that. I think it's quite a cozy space now. If I could, then I would bring Ghislaine up here and sit with her together, drink some tea. Sadly, she's a bit too big and I might get shot with fireballs if I would do that, so this is something that we will sadly not be able to do. Speaking of Gaslyn, where is she right now? See, Gaslyn, I built you a house.
Thanks. In the next video, you show us my new furniture.
I mean, there is already a lot of interior done. If you consider air as a design choice, yes, I'll catch you up on that. So this is supposed to become an open garden area. It's a bit small for that, but I think this was the best solution I was able to find in terms of roofing over the place, because one big roof might have been too much. Now that the roof is cycling around this open space, I think that works very good. Oh yeah. And if we already added leaves, you know, if you have some problems with your build, if there is some asymmetric stuff happening, for example here, just use leaves, nobody will see it anymore. In the night, it's even better to see how the signal goes into the house. What do you want, huh? Do you think you can mess with me? Do you really think that, huh? No, you can't. Is he still there? Yeah, there he is. Got him! Episode 2 on the Splitting the Sea project. I got rid of all the kelp that was in the way of the yet to be built flying machines. And you can see now in the ocean floor there are these thin lines that will mark out the place that I want to have drained even better. That's already nice and all, though the biggest problem still persists, and that is the amount of blocks that we need to dig away. I'm slowly making progress, but it is a lot and we're still at the starting line here right at the shore. While I let many of the blocks that I mine despawn, I try to collect at least some of them, so at least a lot of stone, some of the granite, diorite, andesite, sandstone, stone, you name it, I'll try to collect some of it. And I'm not alone, I have help in terms of the allays. However, they are not the greatest for the area here. I think water might be a bit too complicated for them. I tell you what I mean with that. You might accidentally mine some blocks underwater and create holes that are not full water sources. No, this is floating water right here, and blocks cannot raise up to floating water. That, however, means that you might have an allay that tries to get to a block that it can't reach because allays can't dive underwater, and now they are stuck trying to get to the block that they cannot reach. That alone is not the problem. The problem is that they now ignore any other blocks of sandstone that are around them. 20 sandstone in one stack directly behind them on the ground, they don't care because they still want to get to the one sandstone that is on the ocean floor. Last but not least, if you have a project so close to the ocean, maybe even inside the ocean, it is a given that you eventually get your hands on some tridents. I myself got 2 of them, one with the returning enchantment, Loyalty 3, yes, and the other one with Riptide. That already makes me very excited for the next thunderstorm that will be, because with this Loyalty and Channeling Trident we will be able to get some mob heads. I really like collecting rare stuff in Minecraft, and mob heads are not too easy to get. They're nice for decorating, and recently they got a new update, so if you want to play mob sounds, you can just place a mob head on top of a note block and that will play the sound of the mob. And last but not least, if you want to have this creeper banner pattern, you need a creeper head, so 2 creeper heads would be nice to have. This creeper banner pattern, not some random stuff that I want to have for the sake of having it, no. It is actually quite important for the build that we just did at the beginning of the video for the house. I mean, just look, isn't that fitting perfectly? Nah, just kidding. I think I like that one a little more. Or which one do you prefer? Or do you have an even better banner pattern design? Anyways, that's it for me for today. Next week is the big 1.21 update and I have things to prepare, so have a nice day and see you next time. Bye! Okay, here's the house I promised you, and at the outside it looks wonderful. Let's go inside here. Yeah, you're welcome.
Welcome to a big whole nothing. I like the taste of nothing.